everyone. How's it going?
How's that sound?
Hold on. You go now.
Haro Ebrinyan.
Ooh, let's peek in a little. Let's bring you down. Let's bring me down.
Hello, how are you?
Yeah, that should be all right.
I am a white man.
Sounds good. I am a straight white man, and the world has taken everything from me.
My name is John Smith. I enjoy eating pizza, having a good laugh with my pals, and toilets that have 2 rolls of toilet paper already waiting for you.
Toilets.
Toilets are great.
Toilets are great.
When you drink as much coffee as I do, you certainly need a toilet.
When you drink as much coffee as I do, toilet pants really come in handy.
Take a sip of coffee.
Takes a sip of coffee. Yeah, we need webcams. All right, so hello to episode 6, title pending.
Bonjour.
Buongiorno, giorno.
We've had quite the week this week, I think, in terms of shit that has occurred.
Yeah, we got big newses.
Yeah, we got big news. We got a eulogy.
We got a hoology.
Yeah, we got a whole bunch. We got a whole bunch of shit to get through.
We do.
Most of my week was spent occupied with keeping up with shit that happened this week. So it wasn't terribly eventful in terms of. Oh, you know what? I did do 2 very fun things. So of course I watched the new episode of Titans. It was good. It was called Asylum,
which I was supposed to get on, but I didn't. I dropped the ball on that one.
You get caught up in shit. It happens. Oh, how's the Audacity? I should ask.
Oh yeah, the Audacity is rolling. It's fine.
Very good.
We've been recording for way longer than we should be, so
but
have to cut out a big chunk.
Well, there we are. Well, cutting is what I do well.
Whoa!
Whoa! CW self-harm. But yeah, no, I watched the new episode of Titans. It was called Asylum, and the premise of the episode was the Titans break into an asylum to save Raven's mom, and it was really good. I don't want to get too much into it because this is an episode that I think kind of needs to be seen to enjoy, but there are some heavy kind of plot spoilers.
Okay, so it's like it's a plot point.
Yeah, the whole episode is basically a character and plot episode where you kind of get to see what each of the Titans is like in isolation. You see their kind of abilities at their most raw because they're being kind of tested by these people in the insane asylum.
Okay, cool.
So
that sounds fucking rad.
So that was a really good episode. I want you to watch it. And then next I just put it up on your thing there. So
okay, cool.
You'll be able to get through that one too. But that was a very good episode, and I think next week we'll have a lot to talk about. But I did watch 2 other things that I really enjoyed. So this has been a particularly good week for superhero TV, apparently, because I watched the latest episode of Legends of Tomorrow and Arrow and Flash and Supergirl all this week. And I have to say, I think it's time I really got into the nitty-gritty of what I like so much about these shows, but specifically Legends of Tomorrow. So Legends of Tomorrow,
Which one is that?
Yeah, so there we go. If you're not familiar with it, Legends of Tomorrow is part of the CW DC superhero universe.
Okay.
It was a spin-off of The Flash and Arrow at the time, and it features characters that premiered in both of those shows, functioning as kind of a superhero unit. But the show is much closer to something like Doctor Who, or I hate to say it because I actually don't like the show, but Supernatural, or it's kind of got a Monster of the Week formula.
Okay, but with a background arc.
Yeah, exactly. So the premise of the show is that a bunch of different superheroes from this universe, so the Atom, who premiered on Arrow, 2 villains, Captain Cold and Heatwave, and Hawkgirl, Hawkman, and just a whole whack of other characters, White Canary, who's Black Canary's sister. A whole bunch of these characters were kind of brought on to this time ship by a time traveler called Rip Hunter to kind of fix anomalies in time and space and to kind of be superheroes. The first season focuses on them trying to hunt down Vandal Savage, who's kind of this immortal character who's very famous in DC. He's kind of like DC's big immortal character
The Galactus.
He kind of like he appears in every time period as like an influential person, and he always tries to kind of tip history's scales towards him.
Okay, yeah.
But his origins are interesting. In the original comics, he's a caveman who was granted super intelligence and immortality by like a crashed meteorite with that emanated kind of like a strange radiation, and he slept next to it to kind of keep warm in the evening, and the radiation granted him super intelligence and immortality, and he kind of lives throughout history as like this militaristic conqueror who in every period he's like a famous person. The Legend of Tomorrow origins for him is different. He was a priest in ancient Egypt initially, and he was like the high priest in the court of like a pharaoh and his queen, and that pharaoh and his queen and him were all kind of killed in a meteorite attack. But he used kind of before the meteorites and shit kind of like granted him the intelligence. He used like a magic or cursed dagger to basically kill this pharaoh and the queen. And the pharaoh and the queen's souls reincarnate themselves across history as Hawkman and Hawkgirl. And he is kind of much more tied to their arc, where he was kind of had an unrequited, I guess, romantic feelings for the queen, but she didn't reciprocate them, obviously.
Yeah.
And so he decided to kill her and her husband with the cursed dagger. But the dagger inadvertently basically made their souls immortal, but not their bodies. So their souls reincarnate across time and he is like immortal, and he just kind of keeps living through history. Every time that they reincarnate, he eventually kills them. And the crux with the reincarnation is that Hawkman always remembers, but Hawkgirl never remembers. So he always has to find her in every time period and reunite with her and give her like the shtick on what their deal is. And it's a cool kind of tragic love story. But
kind of a la Casca and Guts, but like not throughout timelines.
Exactly. But yeah, it's like somebody remembers the history that he has with this person and the other one doesn't. So that's the first season of the show. The second season of the show is them kind of fixing anomalies in time and space, because at the end of the first season, the Legends of Tomorrow, like the whole team,
they
do something which breaks time, basically. And so there's like dinosaurs in Victorian England and shit like that. It's really fun. It's this show is the number one thing anybody could say about the show is that it is fucking fun. It is so fun. It is relentlessly fun. And the entire excuse of the show is really to kind of do different kind of superhero stories in different time periods. But yeah, that's when the show kind of transitioned to a Monster of the Week formula. Since then, it's kind of been the first season is like a serialized story, and every episode they're in another time period trying to save Hawkgirl and Hawkman. And eventually, Hawkgirl or Hawkman is killed and Hawkgirl is killed, and they have to go and find them again. And there's like time travel shenanigans and a whole bunch of stuff like that. Like in one episode,
all that good jazz.
In one episode, they go to like a university in the 60s and they meet a professor who's actually the son of one of the reincarnated Hawkman and Hawkgirl couples.
Whoa.
And that was really like, it was sad because like this version of Hawkgirl from the future who like never knew she had a son in the past or whatever is meeting like her son, and her son's like, I never thought I'd ever see my mother again. He's like an old man, like in his 60s,
plucking on those heartstrings.
Yeah, it's really like there's a lot of emotionally affecting stuff. So the first season they do a serialized story. The second season transitions to Monster of the Week, where they're fighting the Legion of Doom, who's essentially like, it's 4 of the villains from the other shows kind of teaming up to be like a supervillain team against their superhero team, and they're going around time fucking shit up, and so they have to fight off whatever the threat that they did is, whether or not
the cleaning crew,
Nazi Germany, dinosaur era, shit like that. Like they go all out. The third season of the show is kind of another serialized story where one of the members of the Legion of Doom from the previous season is manipulating his daughter basically, and makes her into like a vessel for a demon called Mollis. And it's them trying to kind of go across time and stop him from like effecting this grand plan that he's done, where like he's gonna use his daughter to kind of summon Mollis back into their dimension. And at the end of that season 3, which is the previous season of the show, they end up finding a way to defeat Mollis by breaking the prison that he was in. but essentially, like, the only way they could kill Mollis was to let him out of prison to destroy him. So they did, but by breaking the prison, they unwittingly unleashed a whole bunch of, like, monsters and magical demons and shit across time and space. So the newest season is them having to kind of hunt and track down these different magical creatures, and they're all in. It's a lot more time travel shenanigans. But the show is most similar to something like Doctor Who, where every episode they're in a new time period or a new planet or whatever, and they have to kind of play the part, and they'll meet like a historical figure once in a while, and they'll do a little adventure with them, or they'll go to a historically significant time period.
Story of the week with...
Yeah. And every episode is really fun. There's always a little bit of superhero shit, a little bit of time travel shit. Sometimes they'll do a bottle episode where they'll do a whole episode kind of set on the ship.
Yeah.
And those are really good. Like, there's a great one from the last season where one of the characters who was new for that season, she's now a carryover into the current season. Her name is Zari Tamaz. She's a Muslim from, like, 2030s Earth. And from an America that was like basically became a fascist state and policed all like non-white, non-Christians into like
that's on the nose.
Camps. Yeah, no, totally. So she's got kind of a lot of baggage, but she inherited like a totem from her brother that allows her to kind of control wind. And she's a version of a character from a very old DC series called Isis, and they don't call her Isis anymore. Obviously, because the connotations of calling a Muslim superhero ISIS are very bad.
Yeah,
but they just call her Zari. But she is essentially the same character.
Okay.
And she's got wind powers, which is really cool. And she's on the team. But they did a whole episode where she kept Groundhog Daying in the ship and having to relive like the last like 24 hours on the ship before it exploded and killed everybody. And she had to find a way over like a year's period of
literally
time almost.
Another one bites the dust.
Yeah, how to fucking reverse that whole situation. That was a really well done episode. The actor who plays her, Tala Ashi, did like a really fantastic job kind of getting to like what the mentality of a character who's trapped in a time loop for like almost a year to 2 years worth of time must be like. And how you go through every stage of grief and anger and until you just kind of decide to do something about the situation. And that was a fantastic episode. But that was really, really good. And so the current season's really notable because a lot of the original cast changes each season. Like Hawkman and Hawkgirl are no longer in it by the end of the first season because their story is over. Captain Cold is no longer in it because he dies in the first season. Sacrificing himself in kind of a heroic way, and he kind of reappears in different versions of himself because multiverse shit, right? Happens. So there are opportunities to get him back, but he kind of became like more a bit player. And then they got Kid Flash onto the team for last season. He's no longer on the team though. And in the second season, they introduced Citizen Steel or Commander Steel. Who's he's kind of like DC's version of Colossus, but he's also kind of like Superman, where he's like or like Captain America almost, where he's kind of like an all-American type hero, and his aesthetic is kind of like Centurion of Liberty type guy. But he also has the ability to kind of transfigure his skin into metal, so that's why they call him Commander Steel.
Colossus America.
He's really cool. He's a great character. So he's awesome because he's a historian. But the cast that's remained the same since the first season is White Canary, who's now like the captain of the team, and she's like the team leader. Also, openly bisexual female lead on the show, which is really great. She has had multiple liaisons with men and women throughout the thing and is currently in a relationship with a woman on the show. So that's really, really cool. John Constantine is on the team now. So anybody who knows John Constantine knows that's fucking cool. He's played by Matt Ryan, who played him on the Constantine show they did for a while before they canceled it. So that show is now part of this universe, and he is that version of Constantine as part of their team.
Shoving failed projects into...
Well, they did it with Supergirl, too, where the first season was on CBS, like Constantine, but then they transitioned it to take place in the same universe, but it's kind of like a different Earth. But Constantine, they were just like, well, there was so little continuity in the show that they just inserted it into like the Arrow universe.
Yeah, and I mean, you can get away with that with time travel and fucking...
Exactly.
Like, if time travel and alternate timelines are a plot point to your
then
show,
it totally
you
works.
Can do anything.
Which is why Supergirl 100% fit right in.
Yeah.
I mean, even the first season of Supergirl, they straight up went and did a crossover with The Flash, which was really, really good. And it was also the first episode of Supergirl I ever watched, and I really liked it. Because the previous episode that I had kind of seen bits of, I thought kind of sucked. But Supergirl has since risen to become probably one of my favorite of these shows. The current season of the show is dealing very directly with like the rise of like fascist nationalism in the United States, except the allegory is that in the show Supergirl, aliens have started inhabiting Earth as regular citizens, and like Americans are pushing back against it. They're creating kind of like vigilante kind of forces that are going out and like killing aliens in the streets and shit like that. And Supergirl's kind of having to deal with this rise of like totalitarian kind of ideology and fascism in her country. It's really, really cool. And she is as like an alien is one of the big enemies and targets of these people.
Yeah.
So that's a really good season of the show. But yeah, back to Legends of Tomorrow. The current season has John Constantine as kind of like their magic consultant on the ship, because he's a magician and all these creatures they do are magical. And it's cool because, of course, they play him as very transparently bisexual, which is great. And he has like plenty of significant relationships with men and women on the show. And they're dealing pretty directly, too, with his depression and mental illness.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of episodes where like you see him kind of participating in like day drinking. And there's one episode where like they go to like... I think they go to like a pub or something in like Liverpool, where he's from, and he like tries to kind of make it so he was never born. Like he really like fucking hates himself and he wants to die. And they're dealing pretty directly with that, and they're trying to get him over like that unhealthy kind of mental like state that
depression
he's been in.
Represented.
Yeah, he is a dude with fucking baggage, and he's literally got a soul that is like factually damned to hell. Yeah. So he's like, I'm not a good person. I want to fucking die. Like, I hate my life. I hate that I've done all the shit that brought me to this point. And And he like, it's constantly a battle for him to like try and do the good thing and like help these people and just like stave off his like intrusive like suicidal thoughts. It's a really, really good portrayal of the character. And he's funny. Like, they get a lot of good humor out of him because he's also really sardonic and he's very witty. He's got a very British sense of humor. They did an episode where they went to like London in the like mid to late 70s, and they did like a whole punk rock episode. And he was like, "Now this is music," when they went to like the fucking punk club. The other character's like, "What? I can't hear you." And he's like, "Exactly."
Sounds like a very gallows humor.
Oh yeah, totally
heavy character.
He is. He's absolutely like deeply, deeply, deeply English in terms of like the kind of humor that he's going for. Definitely black gallows humor. Like, but he's a really fun character, and that just this show in general manages to be really cleverly written. And despite a lot of the characters sometimes kind of feeling that they're cut from like a very familiar cloth, the writing slowly but surely takes them in directions you don't expect them to go. Like, the character that I was, you kind of most assume is going to like not change throughout the show, with like a character like Commander Steele, for instance, who's in the first season he appeared in, and in the last season he's kind of like a very eager historian who's got like a chip on his shoulder and he wants to prove shit. But in the current season, they deal directly with his relationship with his dad and how much he presents that kind of eager person of himself to kind of stave off the feelings of inadequacy he has because he has like a poor relationship with his father, and they're slowly reconnecting him. Exactly. They're slowly kind of having him reconnect with his dad and having them find common ground and shit. Because his dad is played by Tom Wilson, who's the guy who played Biff in Back to the Future.
Okay, yeah.
And they're doing kind of like a thing where he's like, he works for the government, and he was kind of like, not an absentee father, but like he's, very kind of masculine and obsessed with like kind of this traditional rugged idea of masculinity that his son never projected.
A manly man's man.
Exactly. And he's like, I don't have time for this macho shit. I'm a professor. I like intellectual pursuits. I like it superhero adventuring with my friends. But in the current season, he's kind of found a calling working for the Bureau of Government that kind of regulates the shit that the Legends of Tomorrow do. And so in this new position in the government, he's working directly with his dad, who's like a liaison between them and the regular arm of the government. And they're slowly reconnecting, and the latest episode was like a ride along, basically.
Okay, cool.
Where his dad went with them to 1920s Paris to kind of take out a minotaur who was living in the Paris catacombs. It was so good.
Comic book bullshit.
So
dude.
good. It's so good. And
Oh my god.
and I mean, they do like a whole thing where like you see they do a great contrast where you see like they go to like this club in Paris, and of course Paris in the 20s was full of like Americans who like were coming there to kind of reconnect with art and stuff like that. So they meet like F. Scott Fitzgerald, and Salvador Dali is there, and Django Reinhardt's playing guitar at the cafe doing like his Romani jazz.
Just like a
And-
bunch of little like, hey, this
yeah,
is the
basically.
history nod.
And you see like how Commander Steele is like he loves like he sees Salvador Dali and he's like, yeah, Salvador Dali, and his dad's like Ernest Hemingway, the only person who I ever liked who is a historical figure. And Hemingway, of course, is like, you know, notoriously like this super like toxically masculine dude who like literally is like, there's a scene where he's like, you have something to say to me? You want to care to solve it with fists? Like he's one of those kind of guys where he's like, I will punch you if you don't agree with me.
Them's fighting words.
Yeah,
but I didn't say
he's
anything.
literally is like that. And you see like the contrast between like his dad wants to like fucking geek out over Hemingway, and he's just like, Dad, we have to fucking do shit about this Minotaur. And he's like, let's just go fucking punch the Minotaur. And he's like, you can't do that.
You can try.
Exactly. It's not.
But
And
it's
they
not
try
gonna
to
go
physically
over
fight
super
it, and they
well.
bring Hemingway down to the catacombs, and they try to like fucking shoot the thing, and it's like it's a magical animal. You're not gonna kill it with bullets.
Yeah.
But then they kind of find out, oh, you have to kind of sing to the Minotaur and lull it into a sleep like you do in the myths in order to kind of get it subdued.
Yeah,
And
you
so
have to seduce it.
yeah, basically
Roll in that 20 and you
the-
can have sex with the Minotaur.
there we go. And initially the dad is like, you have to fucking sing to it. What is this like pansy bullshit?
Yeah.
And then they end up having it so he picks up the guitar in like a moment where like he's about to get killed. He picks up the guitar from like the stage that Django Reinhardt was playing on, and he starts playing Sweet Baby James by James Taylor.
Okay.
And they say earlier in the episode, like, I'm not like you, Dad. I don't like 70s folk rock and Ernest Hemingway, and so he plays 70s folk rock
Foreshadowing.
song, which is a really it's a really cute song. It's a really nice song, and he plays it and he lulls the Minotaur to sleep, and he's like, maybe my son's way of doing things is valid. And I'm like, this shit's great.
Maybe you don't always have to punch the thing.
Yeah, exactly. Which I'm like, this is a good fucking
That's-
episode.
yeah.
And it's very straightforward and it's very unsubtle, but it's sincere as hell.
On
and
the
this
nose
this
as
show
fuck.
is so fucking sincere, and I really enjoy every minute I spend with it. So that's just like a really good time. And then, so Legends of Tomorrow is really good. If you haven't watched any of it, it's one of those things where you could pretty much watch it entirely divorced from the rest of the CW shows.
Yeah.
Kind of like The Flash, where like there's the occasional crossover, but like they always give you enough information in the crossover to kind of ascertain
Which
who's
is
who.
good.
Yeah. So you can always kind of do that. Most of the shows are like that. Like all of them you could kind of watch in isolation, but the experience is obviously the best when you can watch it all together.
Yeah, for
which
sure.
is a monumental, almost Herculean
Is there like
fucking task
a
at this point.
a canonic like timeline
Yes.
in which you should watch the episodes?
I think there is.
Okay.
Because it's basically the timeline in which they aired on TV. So the order
Okay,
of
yeah.
the order of how they air on TV is
Alright,
the
yeah,
timeline.
that's what I was wondering, because I was wondering if it was either like in the order that they aired, or like season 1 of The Flash came out and there was a
Yeah.
crossover with Superwoman, but then
Yeah,
like
yeah,
it was
yeah.
further in the future.
Well,
and the
it's
super,
like season 1 of Arrow exists in isolation. It's the only season of the show that doesn't take place at the same time as another season
because it was
of
the
another show.
first
Yeah.
thing, and
Then
like
season 2 of Arrow introduces the Flash.
yeah.
And then season 1 of The Flash takes place at the same time as season 3 of Arrow. And then season 1 of Legend of Tomorrow takes place at the same time as season 2 of Flash, season 4 of Arrow, and onwards from there. Supergirl kind of takes place in another universe, but the crossover that it has takes place in like season 3 of Flash.
Okay, yeah.
So there's a whole bunch of shit. But there is like, it all kind of like, they all exist in parallel to one another at a certain point. And then every season since Arrow and Flash started airing together, they've had a crossover between any of the shows that have been airing. So the first season they had a crossover between Flash and Arrow. Third season they had the crossover between Flash, Arrow, and then they introduce Legends of Tomorrow, and then Legends of Tomorrow began after that.
Okay, yeah.
And they started like the whole Hawkgirl, Hawkman thing. They started kind of doing that in Flash. And then Flash crossed over with Supergirl, and then Supergirl, Legends of Tomorrow, Flash, and all of these shows crossed over in the Invasion crossover, which was them fighting off an alien invasion from a race called the Dominators, whose entire MO is like, metahumans are a fucking threat to our intergalactic empire. We will fucking kill all of them if we have to. So they're invading Earth to kill all the superheroes. So that was really good.
As you must.
Yeah, well, I mean, it makes sense from their point of view because this is the first threat to our power we've ever experienced.
Yeah.
So
and
that's a really fun episode. And then the last season's crossover was fucking huge. And they aired it at the same time as Defenders, and it was way better than Defenders.
Oh, man. Well, yeah, but I mean, we've talked about this, but the Marvel TV shows are garbage.
They're a mixed bag. Yeah, they're the Netflix series. The Netflix series kind of vary in terms of quality.
Yeah,
because there's some that are really good and some that kind of suck.
Well, I mean, I feel like we talked about it, but like the pattern, like you can just kind of feel the writing structure.
Oh yeah,
where it's just like an ad lib
of
like
always fucking like stretch out the seasons.
Where it's like main character superhero meets big bad, but then this happens, and then oops, second big bad.
Like
season 2?
Side characters meet like a kind of shitty fate by the end of the season.
Yeah,
like it's very rote at a certain point.
Yeah.
I still haven't powered my way through all of the third season of Daredevil, but so far it's very good. So they kind of
Well, I mean, Daredevil was the best one.
Yeah,
honestly.
I think the most consistent because I like Jessica Jones a lot. Yeah, but there's not as much as Daredevil.
Yeah, no, there's not as much, but I feel like Jessica Jones season 2
I thought season
was kind of just like...
I thought season 2 was really good because I really liked Alyssa. I thought she was a cool character. And I liked the story they did between her and Jessica. The kind of other stuff, like the stuff with Trish kind of becoming a huge bitch, really sucked.
Yeah.
And that made me fucking mad. But also, it was good writing. And it made sense.
Yeah,
to kind of have her like spiral into addiction and like it's already established she's an addict and anyway. So the crossover of the CW shows they did last year was Earth X, which is basically all the 4 shows got together to kind of meet for Flash and Iris West's wedding, and then as they're having their wedding, evil Nazi versions of them from the universe where they're all Nazis. Crash the wedding, and it is a 4-episode long
comic book,
3-hour long crossover about them fighting the evil Nazi versions of themselves, and it was so good. It was well written. Every character got like a little spotlight. Fucking awesome. And then I'm so excited for this. This season's crossover is going to air next week. And I'm really hyped because it's the one where they're introducing Batwoman.
Yeah.
And they're introducing Batman lore into the series properly, and that's going to be very exciting. Because they've done like a whole bunch of shit in Arrow where they'll name drop like Bruce Wayne, or they'll name drop Gotham City, or they'll name drop Arkham Asylum. They'll be like,
they're like,
don't you worry,
ribs.
Batman does exist.
Yeah, we got the name.
He's like I guess more of like a myth than somebody like the Green Arrow is or whatever, or Flash, because they're both kind of out in the open, and Batman mostly operates on like the predication that people are afraid of him, and so they have to think he's like a larger than life figure. Whereas Green Arrow literally was like a dude in the first season going around murdering white collar criminals. So like literally sticking an arrow through them every episode, fucking murdering the shit out of people. And then he kind of learned not to kill people, and then he became the Green Arrow.
I learned how to not murder.
Well, it was kind of like him learning that, like, hey, you don't have to fucking solve crime by killing everybody. And I'm like, yeah, probably good.
Because somebody going time, if you killed the Joker, the Batman's life would be so much easier.
These guys are just like embezzlers, though.
Yeah, that's
it was kind of like not the same thing.
No, I guess.
And then whenever he did have a big, larger than life villain, usually they end up dead.
Yeah.
Like, he fought Ra's al Ghul and fucking killed him in the 3rd season. At the very end, he like threw him over a fucking waterfall. It was crazy. It was good. That was a good season. A lot of people didn't like it, but I thought it kicked ass because it was all about him like joining the League of Assassins. It was badass. It was a good season. I like Arrow. Arrow is the one that everybody kind of is like, it was only good first 2 seasons, and I'm like, fuck off. It's
yeah,
fun.
but you've got a fucking bias. You've got such an Arrow boner.
Green Arrow is
like.
Well, here's the thing. Like Green Arrow is my favorite superhero, absolutely. But also like the show Arrow almost has zero to do with the actual Green Arrow.
I guess.
Like the character is almost nothing alike.
Mm-hmm.
But I still really like the way the show is done. Like I enjoy
an EU Arrow.
It is. It's
AU.
It's basically like, what if the Green Arrow was kind of like Batman, where he was a darker character, and the show is a lot of the show is about him lightening up and becoming like a better, more heroic person. Because the first
less of a Batman, more of a Superman.
Yes, exactly, or more of the Green Arrow, really.
Yeah,
it's like him turning his attention to like helping. Instead of like killing white-collar criminals, like helping manage crime in places where poverty is rampant and people have to turn to it, to make ends meet and shit that. And like even the current season, like he helped a bunch of people in prison, and he was like, I know you guys are all criminals and you've done terrible things, but you don't deserve to be fucking like tortured and killed in prison. And so he takes out like the corrupt guards and shit in the prison who are, enabling unjust punishment for people who were, convicted criminals. And I'm like, that's something the Green Arrow in the comics would do. And there's even like a line in the latest season where he's talking with Bronze Tiger, who's like one of the, I guess, a villain from one of the previous seasons who was on the Suicide Squad in Arrow. And he is locked up in the same prison that Green Arrow is locked up in this season. And they kind of team up, and he's like, the very end of the last episode where like Green Arrow finally kind of got out of prison, he was talking to Bronze Tiger, and Bronze Tiger's like, okay, look, I know we've had our fucking shit in the past, and we've fought, and we've done terrible things to each other, but I hope you understand that, like, I'm a person, you're a person. Shit isn't just black and white, and I think that the man who came in here who only saw black and white is different from the man who's going to walk out of this prison, in a couple of hours free. And I'm like, yeah, he's kind of learned, I think, that sometimes, like, criminals are criminals because of extraneous circumstance, because they're forced into situations where they either have to commit a crime or like a terrible thing, or die, or risk their family dying or something like that. And I'm like,
survival instincts are fucking strong.
That's a lot closer to like the Green Arrow that I know from the comics, who like, despite his he's a very like, social justice-y character, and he's very much like, people shouldn't do this shit, and people shouldn't be exploiting people. And I'm like, you know what?
Pay your workers living wages.
He's a total fucking Marxist. It's great. I mean, like, he takes up like corrupt cops and like racist militias and shit like that, and he fights just like a whole bunch of like wild, like, like hyper right wing like people. Like, that's a lot of his villains are people who are like ideologically like exploitative and think that it's okay to kind of exploit, smaller, lesser, quote unquote, like lesser people, in order to kind of achieve selfish ends. So a lot of the Green Arrow is kind of, I think that the major conflict with the Green Arrow in the comics is, how does one fight the establishment when one is a member of it? Because he is kind of the ultimate ally.
Cop trying to change it from the inside.
Well, because I mean, he doesn't even fuck with cops though.
Yeah,
like he's like kind of the textbook definition of, I guess, what most allies who aren't part of kind of oppressed other groups but want to help them should be doing, which is use your privilege to combat the people using combat the people putting other people down by using the resources that you as a person with power have at your disposal. And so he, as a rich billionaire,
use your privilege to help
funds like the less fortunate and helps. And he's in his period as like a politician, because he's like a mayor in certain versions of the character. He's like the mayor of the city. He uses his political platform to champion good political causes and to, fund children's hospitals and fund, medical programs that, help like the disenfranchised.
I just want to give back to the community.
Yeah, like he's like an honest politician, and then by night he's a vigilante who takes out people. Takes out the people who can't, be dealt with through the legal system. And he recognizes that sometimes you have to operate extra legally to do shit. But anyway, all these shows are good. Legends of Tomorrow kicks a fuck ton of ass. I did want to talk about Mystery Science Theater 3000. I don't know if you're 100% familiar with this show.
I know of its existence.
Yeah.
But I haven't. I don't know about the old.
Okay.
Mystery. Well, I know about it.
You know about it. I guess you kind of get the premise, right?
Yeah.
So I guess
from what I can tell, it's a Twilight Zone thing where it's like kind of contained stories.
Well, what it is Mystery Science Theater is an anybody who riffs shit on the internet owes their career to Mystery Science Theater. Mystery Science Theater was a program that began on public access in the late 80s and transitioned to a kind of a cable network show kind of in the second season of its run. It got picked up by a major network and it aired on the Comedy Channel and like on, I think, Showtime afterwards. But the premise of the show is the main character of the show is either Joel, Mike, or Jonah in the latest season, is kind of trapped on a satellite called the Satellite of Love.
Yeah.
And they and their robot puppets who are like friends, they're little robot puppets. There's 4 of them. There's Cambot, who's their camera.
Yeah.
Gypsy, who's like this big kind of like craning neck robot who comes down from the ceiling.
Is that the gold one?
No, that's Crow.
Okay.
Tom Servo, who looks like a gumball machine, and Crow, he looks like a little gold bird.
Yeah. Bird.
They basically are being sent shitty movies by the people that trap them on the satellite, and they have to watch the shitty movie. And it's kind of just a framing device excuse for these funny comedians to kind of riff a shitty old movie. So every episode is the length of a shitty movie, and there's kind of little interstitial bits in between where they do a little, like, they'll do a song or they'll do like a funny like comedy sketch, and it's a cute kind of little variety show with like a big part of it is them riffing a movie. It has a fun theme song, and it aired for like I think 9 seasons initially on like television.
Yeah.
And then it went on like a long hiatus. The people who did it initially started riff tracks after, which is like a huge thing for people who like movies. And now they've circled back around. They've rebooted the show for Netflix. So seasons 10 and 11 for the show. And or maybe it's seasons 11 and 12 now. But because I think 10 actually was the last TV season.
Okay, yeah.
But they've got Jonah, who's the new host of the show. He's very funny. And the last season was their first season where they rebooted it. It was really good. Patton Oswalt and Felicia Day are on it too. And they're like the people who are sending them the movies. So they're the son and daughter of the villains from the original show.
Okay, yeah.
Which is really funny. Like the character that Patton Oswalt plays is Max, TV's son of TV's Frank. Like, that's the name of the character. Jesus. So it's just wrapped in kind of like meta humor and kind of goofy nerd humor.
Look at how ridiculous this
is. It's very fun. And it's a send-up of like kind of the B and Z grade movies that they watch. So last season they did a whole bunch of bullshit. It was very fun. This current season, it's only 6 episodes long. But the premise of the new season is you're meant to binge it.
Okay.
Because they call it the Gauntlet. This is Mystery Science Theater, the Gauntlet.
The Gauntlet.
You have to get through this gauntlet of shitty, awful movies.
Terribleness.
I have watched the first 2 episodes with my partner. The nameless partner. Partner who will not be named.
Question mark.
Until he inevitably appears on the show.
Yeah.
But which will happen, I'm sure, soon because he's coming to visit in like a month.
Woo!
But
we got to get another mic.
Yeah. Well, you can just share my mic. We'll figure it out.
Pass
But it'll work. But fucking the first episode was Mac and Me.
I want to do a bit. Anyway, we'll talk about it after.
Do you know do you know Mac and Me? Do you know this movie?
I think I saw you tweet about it, but that's pretty much it.
It is an E.T. ripoff from the 80s.
Oh, yeah, the fucking wheelchair.
Yeah, the wheelchair kid.
Yes.
Yeah, it's a kid in a wheelchair finds like a fucking little alien who comes to Earth with his family by accident on like a Mars rover. It's so fucking bad. Oh, he's in the comments right now. Yeah. But it's so fucking awful. It was a terrible goddamn movie. And it was called Mac and Me. And yeah, it's like an extended McDonald's and Coca-Cola commercial.
Yeah.
It has like a fuck ton of really bad.
an alternate ending where they just shoot the kid or something?
Yes. So there is an alternate ending of this movie where the main character kid, and already the ending in the original movie is dour because the kid like wheelchairs off into an explosion.
The fucking perfect scene.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. He goes into a fucking explosion. But in another version of the movie, he gets fucking taken out with a fucking gun by a cop by accident and then rolls dead into the explosion. It's fucking ridiculous. This movie is shit. It is bad.
Yeah.
And it's really funny.
Does it? Oh, fuck. Who?
It's pain.
What actor? There's an actor who goes on... I don't remember what late night show, but I think he's
Paul Rudd.
Yeah, Paul Rudd.
Paul Rudd. Every time he goes on Conan O'Brien... Instead of playing the clip from the movie that he is in, he plays the clip from Mac and Me where the kid in the wheelchair goes off the cliff.
Yes.
And so this movie is infamous. It's got a whole bunch of meme scenes in it. But yeah, the premise of the movie is just basically E.T., but it sucks. Mm-hmm. And it's really uncanny and bad. But there's like a whole bunch of really awkward, like direct as fuck product placement in it. Where like there's a scene where they go to McDonald's and there's just like a bunch of kids dancing outside of the McDonald's. Like it's like McDonald's is the hippest, most happening fucking place to be in the world. And Ronald McDonald, like the actual fucking Ronald McDonald from like the commercials, is there just in the fucking McDonald's. It's really surreal. But it was a shit movie. It was really bad. And then the second fucking movie of the Gauntlet, and I did not watch them twice in a row because I could not do that to myself. I cannot binge this for the life of me.
Gotta separate that shit.
Yeah. It was, what was it called? Atlantic Rim, which you can imagine what it is. It is a mockbuster of Pacific Rim.
Yes.
It was just what if Pacific Rim, but made with like a 16th the talent and love.
Okay, I'm watching this like as soon as the podcast is over.
So fucking bad.
Good.
It was so bad. I could barely fucking keep my eyes open. And that's not to say that like the episode of the show Mystery Science Theater was bad, but this might have been one of the worst movies I've ever watched. I'm
so excited.
It's so devoid of fucking any substance. There's like a.
But are there cool mech battles?
That's no.
Nothing.
There are mech battles, but they fucking suck and the mechs look like shit.
I'm so stoked.
My partner kept saying they look like fucking like Power Rangers, and I'm like, Power Rangers looks way better than this. I don't know what the fuck you're saying.
Oh God,
Power
Rangers fucking really
Power
sets
Rangers
the tone.
looks better than this because Power Rangers has like love put into it. This is literally just like fucking shit.
Is it like Mighty Morphin or SPD or SDP?
SPD's so good.
SPD's really fucking.
That's a really good show. It's like it's CG garbage, so it looks kind of like I don't know what a more modern season of Power Rangers would look like, where they have like a heavily CGI'd Megazord, but these look like fucking garbage. Like they literally just look like, you know, the robots from that shitty movie Real Steel, like the robot boxing movie.
Yeah,
they look like that, but what if they were really big? Like they just look generic and bad, and the fights fucking suck. The monsters look like shit, and it's a terrible fucking movie. It's made by the Asylum, who make all those like terrible movies that are just kind of rip-offs of other popular blockbusters that are coming out. So yeah, Mystery Science Theater 3000, The Gauntlet. I recommend you watch it. I do not fucking recommend you binge it because I don't know what level of constitution you could have to kind of sit through 6 fucking trash movies. But the next movie is that they're doing is like a rip-off of a rip-off of a rip-off. So it's like a really fucking like 6 degrees of separation between it and the thing that it was initially ripping off.
It's such a ripoff that you can't even tell what the source material is meant to be.
That's literally how bad of a ripoff it is. It fucking sucks. So I don't know if I'm looking forward to it or not.
Yeah.
But the jokes have been good this season. There were some growing pains in the first season with like some of the humor, but they're mostly pretty on point now. And a lot of the show, you kind of make your own jokes too. Mm-hmm. Like part of the fun is like riffing along with Jonah and the robots. And then like it's fun. It's a very charming show, and I enjoy it.
Just check your mic. Try not to move around too much.
Pardonnez-moi. But really, really good fun so far. So that's kind of what I did this week. That's what I watched. I watched Titans. I watched CW, and I went on a whole rant about it. And I watched MST3K, and it was really fun.
Sick. We're gonna have to get you a headset or something.
Oh, I know.
Yeah.
This mic.
We're working on it. We are all poor.
We poor. We have no money.
Give me mine.
Maybe since it's my birthday, I'll get money and I can put it towards something beneficial.
Yeah. Happy birthday!
Hey!
It's
It's birthday. I don't really care. My birthday never feels special to me because I don't really want it to be.
Yeah.
I don't like birthdays. I'm like, whatever. But I appreciate when people send me birthday wishes, but I'm just kind of like, yeah, birthday's like, whatever.
It's a birthday.
I'm another year older. I'm fucking old. Oh, thank you.
Aw.
That's
Nameless
love.
partner.
That's love. But what did yourselves do? You went Steam shopping.
Yeah, Steam Black Friday sale cleared out like 6 games off of my infinitely growing wish list.
Yeah.
In that, I'm gonna try to remember all of them. I got Jet Set Radio because
The shit's good.
Didn't really play it all that much. I played like the first level just to have the nostalgia, and apart from that, I was just like,
that soundtrack is so fucking good.
That's the whole point of Jet Set Radio is just the music, really.
It's so fucking good.
I finally got Metal Gear Rising Revengeance.
All right, so you're gonna have a good time with that.
Dude, it's I guess I'll talk about that now. We'll go down the Steam list. So I got that. That game's fucking fun.
Yeah.
Platinum is god tier with video games. I love how ridiculous and just over the top it is. Like, you're 5 minutes in and the big boss, well, not big boss, but like you're fighting a fucking mini Metal Gear. And
already,
you're like, God, okay.
Right as you jump into the game.
I love how non-stop bullshit Platinum it is. It's just... There's not really ever a moment of downtime. You're just all right, here we go.
It's one of those things that's
we're going into this now.
That's fucking funny.
So yeah, I got to the first actual boss, the lady with the arms. I just beat her, the French lady?
I think she was French.
Yeah, she's French. I can't remember her name right now. But yeah, I got there. That was fun. I got... What else did I get? Beyond Good and Evil.
Ooh. And
I spent about an hour dicking around in the settings so that the fucking screen clipping would stop. Because I was having this problem where, like, textures would just... Like, a flower would be normal size and then explode really big and take up... Like, it was really fucking weird. So I dicked around in the settings for that and got that fixed. And finally, I'm playing
That is a very visually busy game. There is so much shit going on in that.
Especially when the textures are fucking throwing themselves to you. It was like, I can't even... It's screen tearing and just,
oh my fucking God.
Like, the text boxes would display, like, PJ's picture, and then it would just disappear. And but that's not Platinum. That's Ubisoft.
Yeah.
And then so there's Beyond Good and Evil. There was Jet Set, Metal Gear. Other than that, I don't think I booted up any of the other ones that I bought yet, except for Outlast 2.
Okay, I don't know anything about Outlast. What is this?
Amnesia, but like with a budget.
Okay, well, I like Amnesia. I have both of those games.
So it's like a first-person horror game.
Okay.
The first one was set in an insane asylum. Yeah. First one was fun, had some good jump scares and stuff, but like fell into this thing where it wasn't scary anymore. It was more like, okay, now I need to learn it was scary the first time, now I just need to learn the pattern and go, and it's not really exciting.
That makes sense. Okay.
But the second one, it kind of follows almost the exact same template, where I'm not disappointed, but there's flashbacks to when the main character was in school because something happened. I still don't know what it is.
Okay.
But the flashbacks in the school are scarier than
the main game. The
main parts in the hillbilly land hellscape.
Okay. It's like Appalachian kind of setting, like.
Well, it feels like was it? Alex said it's Florida. It's just Florida.
It's just Florida.
Just
okay.
Rednecks. There's a lot of like pages laying around of like, oh, the prophet father made me kill my baby, so now I'm sad and I killed myself. Or on the complete opposite spectrum of like, oh, the prophet made me kill my baby and I'm so horny about it. I wake up with my vagina leaking everywhere. I'm just so horny. And it's like, okay, that's fucking creepy, but
really weird.
It's the tone. The thing that I find really funny is there's a couple of rooms where there's piles of the air quote fetuses and babies. But since like ratings and like they didn't want it to be too graphic, the proportions are more human than babies. So it's like small humans but like huge head, like
That's
they can't actually
weird.
look like fetuses.
That's kind of weird.
So yeah, it's just kind of funny, but it's still fucked up because you're like, it's supposed to be a baby, I guess.
That's a little man.
Look at that pile of little people.
That's really wild.
It's fucking weird.
That's really weird. Yeah. Well, that's games on a budget.
But yeah, I streamed that once for like about an hour, and then the second time for like 3.5 hours till 1 a.m. And that was fun.
I guess the premise of the first one at least reminds me of. Have you ever played Dementium?
No.
It
That's
came
the
out for
DS
the DS
game, right?
Yeah. It's a DS survival horror game. Very good, but it's set in like a mental hospital. And
Okay,
it's really fucking good. That game kicked ass.
There's some things you can do, but like, yeah, that I was kind of disappointed. I mean, I guess I still am disappointed so far with just how familiar it all feels. Okay. Where it'll be like, oh, here's the sequence where the thing, like the crank arm is missing, so now you got to go back and get the crank arm.
Okay,
but as soon as you get the crank arm, a bunch of enemies.
Kind of a standard puzzles.
Yeah, like a bunch of enemies will pile in, but you can't fight, so you gotta hide and look at the patterns.
Okay.
And like,
that kind of sucks.
I feel like it kind of sucks. It would be scarier if you could fight back, because it would remove the like, all right, I died, so I'm just starting over here, and now I gotta just figure out the pattern, and like it feels
a little rote.
Yeah.
Just a little rote.
But I mean, it's from the same company, obviously, that made the first one, so I wasn't really expecting them to go too far off the beaten path.
Okay.
There's a couple of things.
I mean, the first and second Amnesia are very different games.
Yeah.
Like aesthetically and everything.
Yeah.
But they're also made by different companies.
Yeah, exactly. This is Red Barrel makes Outlast. So.
Okay. Oh, right. Yes.
I played that. I'm also still playing Bravely Default.
How's that going?
Good. I got to Florum.
Yeah. The woman town where everybody's a woman.
Yeah, everyone a woman. And Ring a Bell is like, yeah, this is great.
That's Ring a Bell.
Except I bought that girl a handbag, and now I hate that girl because all I see is the handbag. And you're like, oh, okay. Poor Ring a Bell. I witnessed the murder of 2 children for a headband thing.
Oh my fucking god.
And that's where I am right now. I beat her last night.
Okay.
So that's still progressing slowly, but yeah, this.
You're getting somewhere though. You fought a couple of some pretty cool bosses so far.
Yeah.
And you got your airship now.
Hmm?
Do you have an airship?
Oh yeah.
You have the airship.
It's just now the airship isn't working. We have to get a crystal.
From the, you have to go to like the crystal.
We gotta walk all the way to Yuliana now.
Yeah. And you're gonna have to go through like a forest, a miasma forest.
Yeah, the miasma forest was a bitch because I kept like looking at my bottom screen,
and
there's a pile of fucking toxic shit.
I think it's the summoner, the dragoon, and the summoner, the dragoon, and the hunter.
I haven't seen
summoner.
The other two.
Is a summoner, a dragoon, and there's I think she's a hunter, but she's like a little wild girl.
Okay.
I think that's in the first game, or is that Bravely Second? I don't remember.
It's all mixed up now.
It honestly is.
But anyway,
it's like so similar yet so different.
Yeah, the person I beat yesterday was the summoner.
Okay,
so that's where I am.
So you got the summoner asterisk.
Yeah, and I've got another side quest that I'm thinking about doing before going to Yuliana.
Okay.
Trying to clear up all the little blue
How's your party looking in terms of job distribution?
I put Ring a Bell as a knight, and he's a fucking tank, literally almost unkillable. Everything hits for like 1 or 17.
Okay.
But everyone else gets like 120 on it. So Ring a Bell's big old tank. I just switched um, Agnes to
Agnes.
Summoner last night.
Yeah, that's gonna be good.
Yeah.
She plays a good summoner. I always give her secondary summoning roles.
Yeah.
Like she's I think in the way that I have her first, she's a sage, which means she can do black and white magic.
Yeah, that's what I'm doing.
But I also gave her summoning as her second job.
Okay, yeah.
So she can do like the kind of less powerful summons, but like they're still useful.
Yeah.
Like a lot of the summons are great for like just attack support during like an annoying turn.
Yeah.
Especially
Well,
ones that
the way
stay
I've
out
been
for
doing it
longer.
the way I've been doing it so far until last night, where I'm gonna have her level up her summoner thing, was that I was switching Agnes and Adina
Yeah.
between white and black magic as
Yeah,
their
yeah,
main,
yeah.
so that they can both use the higher level white and black magic.
I always kept Adia as a tank whenever I
Oh,
had
really?
her she was always my tank. I always had her as a knight, and then I had the Tiz was always like a rogue or a thief, or I have him as a ninja by the end of the game.
Okay, yeah, because ninjas.
Ninja Tiz is very
Ninja's
good.
the way.
Yeah, and then I always put Ringabel as a dark knight. When you get the Dark Knight asterisk.
Yeah, well,
And
that's
I made
the
him a
only thing I'm
Dark
waiting
Knight,
for.
And you can get the vampire asterisk at a certain point, and I always made him a Dark Knight vampire because
Nice.
he's a very good matchup because vampires absorb health and
Yeah.
stuff,
And Dark Knights are just buff.
well, Dark Knights they use health to attack, like they
Oh,
cut their
yeah,
own
yeah.
life to kind of attack. So when you use like like an ability like Darkness, for instance,
Yeah.
But
Tiz is still my monk punchy boy.
yeah, he's a
Tiz
good
deals
person.
the most damage, so he's DPS.
Yeah,
I got the other two on like
Support.
Kira and magic attack, and then Ringabel is there to kind of, if everyone falls down except him,
Yeah, he's
he's
like
like,
a
here's
last
your Phoenix
resort."
down.
Yeah, and he's pretty much impenetrable.
Yeah.
I'm sure he's kind of. It's hard to get like a hit with him with like his sword, like a good hit.
Yeah, he hits a lot lower than I thought he was going to, but
They're
his defense
clumsy.
is so high that
You know
it
what you have
doesn't
to
even
do?
matter.
If you have to check if giving him what weapons you gave him fucked up the combination of his.
Yeah, no, I went through the list last night, and it's the best it can be right now.
Okay.
I think I just need to buy better weapons for everyone, because
I
he's been on the
always
same sword for a
grind to
minute
get
too.
gold and then buy a whole bunch of new weapons every time I go to a new town in an RPG. But the weapons are a lot more expensive in Bravely Default. I find like buying weapons and armor for people is like you break the bank on it really easily in that game. So there's a lot of grinding. It's a very grindy game.
Yeah.
But I like grinding because it's quick in Bravely Default.
Yeah, because
It's
you can just
good.
hit that fast forward button.
Exactly. Brave 4 times each character, and you've defeated the basic little bitch enemy party, unless they're like an enemy that requires a little bit more strategy.
Yeah.
Which usually they're not.
No, it's usually just
There's
the
like
bosses.
there's a particular area where you mostly fight like dragons,
Yeah.
and they have really good item drops, and they also level up really high. But they're also the kind of enemies that you can just kind of fuck up real quickly.
Yeah.
So like that was my favorite place to grind when I was playing. That game kicks. So those games are great.
They're really fun. I'm kind of bummed that it took me so long to pick it up, because I really liked. I remember the Bravely Second demo
Yeah.
was the first that I played of this series, and I was like, this is super fun.
That was
and
a
then
good
I
demo.
just kind of fell off.
Yeah, that's how it be sometimes.
That's pretty much it. That was my week.
That was a good week.
If not, we've had much news.
So much.
But I'm gonna
fucking
take
news.
a bathroom break because I gotta piss so bad.
All right. So
if
we will take a
you
little
wanna
breaky break.
Yeah, we'll take like a. It's not gonna take long. If you want to actually start on something minor,
I totally could. I guess we can start with
let's start with the Lion
Lion
King.
Yeah. So
I'll be right
a-
back
I have a
'cause
few
I have things to say
this.
about that too.
Disney dropped, in their effort to drop a trailer for every movie that isn't Avengers 4, Disney dropped a trailer for their new reimagining of The Lion King, which is being directed by Jon Favreau, who is kind of one of their bullpen of directors. He did the first 2 Iron Man movies. He directed Chef, which was not for them, but it's a movie that I really like. And a nice kind of smaller indie movie. And he directed their version of The Jungle Book as well, which I really, really liked. And this movie seems to be kind of continuing in the tradition of Disney reimagining or remaking some of their kind of classic animated features as live action or live action / CGI or fully CGI kind of things. So this movie is a full CGI reimagining of The Lion King, much in the same vein as The Jungle Book, which apart from Mowgli and some of the other human characters was primarily a fully CGI movie.
Yes, the thing about this is it says live action.
It's
but
not a
so
live
far
action
it
movie.
is just a CG movie.
It's a CG movie.
A
But
very high
the trailer
grade
they
CG movie, but
the trailer they dropped was just kind of like a reimagining of that first kind of scene from The Lion King where they play Circle of Life, and you see all the animals kind of going to profess their fealty to Mufasa and to like ring in the birth of his son. And they bring, Rafiki, the monkey, comes in and he breaks like the root and he gives the little mark on Simba's head, and they present Simba, and that's kind of what they showed. But there's been a lot of talk online about, like, I guess the necessity of these Disney quote unquote live action remakes. And I want to say Disney's track record with them is fairly inconsistent. Yeah. On one hand, there have been some really good ones. Their reimagining of Cinderella, which was directed by Kenneth Branagh, was very good. I thought it was great.
That came out
years ago.
Okay.
Years ago.
It was I don't remember that at all.
The first of these movies was Maleficent, which is kind of a pseudo reimagining of Sleeping Beauty, but also is kind of a different sort of thing because it banks on the premise being mostly about the villain of Sleeping Beauty, Maleficent.
And like totally just retconning the fact that she's a villain at all.
Yeah, that pretty much
she was actually the nice guy.
Yeah, the whole movie is about how Maleficent isn't actually a psycho evil bitch, and that the king from Sleeping Beauty is a fucking psycho dickhole.
Yeah.
So that was kind of a weird movie. It's not a bad movie per se, but it's
strange.
It's kind of strange, and it's kind of nasty. Like there's a kind of an ugliness to that movie that is almost similar to like the first Shrek, which I really dislike because I find it's got like a lot of ugly kind of sentiment to it. Like there's a part of it that's very cynical that I just really don't like. Like the three fairies in the original Sleeping Beauty are reinterpreted in Maleficent as being like three totally fucking incompetent, shrieky, fucking hawkish, awful people. And they're like, they literally even get like the woman who played Dolores Umbridge to play one of the fairies in it. And I'm like, you're just casting like Imelda Staunton, who's like one of the most hateful, awful looking women in this fucking role. Like, it's kind of transparent to me that you were casting people who are really hateable. And like they cast Charlton Copley, who's like a really, all the characters he ever plays tend to be like people who are like kind of going off the deep end. And he plays like the king as he slowly kind of sinks into like insanity. And I'm like, man, I don't know how I feel about that movie. Mm-hmm. But on the other hand, I think Angelina Jolie did a really good job portraying Maleficent. And I thought that was like a fun thing to see her play that character.
I don't remember much from it. I watched it so long ago.
But that movie came out like almost a decade ago now.
Yeah.
Which is crazy to think. But like 8 years ago or something. It's an older movie. But that was kind of the first of this trend, right?
Yeah.
So now you've seen...
And then there was Beauty and the Beast.
Yeah, there was Beauty and the Beast, which I didn't like. I saw it in the theater with my family, and I have to say, as a movie experience with your family, it's fine.
Yeah.
I like seeing Disney movies with my family because it's just kind of like a fun, uncritical kind of thing you can do.
Yeah.
But there's stuff in that movie that's bad. Like, the Beast is kind of like... He doesn't seem as likable as the original Beast. And it's not because Dan Stevens is an unlikable actor. In fact, he's very likable.
No, they just make him a dick.
He's such a dick.
Yeah.
He's such an incessant, like, mansplainer. Mm-hmm. And he's fucking obnoxious. And Belle herself is kind of like... Disney, I guess, has seen kind of like the bad faith arguments about the original movie, where it's like, look at Belle, if she was really very feminist, she would be doing this. Mm-hmm. So they make her like kind of a poo-pooey, I don't want to say stuck up, but kind of like, oh, look at all these dumb peasants and I'm so smart. And I never felt like the original Belle was up about her intelligence. Like, she was never like, look at all these dumb, nasty...
Look at these idiots. They don't read the books.
Where I feel like there's a palpable resentment that this version of Belle felt towards the townspeople that I thought was really ugly. It kind of reminded me of, like... liberal resentment for like people who live in quote unquote flyover states, where it was
Yeah.
like, look at these stupid fucking hillbillies, and I'm like, I hate that shit. It's so fucking dismissive and ugly, and it pisses me off. And so that kind of was like, I don't really like this version of Belle. I don't like this version of the Beast. However, there's shit in that movie that I like. Like I actually, apart from like, I guess apart from most people's criticisms, I actually really like the music in that movie.
Yeah.
And it was directed by Bill Condon, who's he directs musicals. That's what he's known for. He directed Chicago.
So
like
it's
the
right
movie
up his
version of
alley.
Chicago. So exactly, he directed a good musical. I thought it's just like, I thought this version of Beast and Belle kind of sucked. Giving Gaston like PTSD and like kind of a way to like explain kind of his shittiness was weird and bad.
Yeah.
And the thing with LeFou and making him more transparently gay and like kind of playing into the gay subtext with the character was really like, I don't know, it was lazy and rote. I thought it was very rote. I'm like, if you want to do like gay LeFou, cool. LeFou is already pretty fucking gay.
Yeah.
Like you didn't need to like. And then they made a whole stink about it during the promotion of the movie. They were like, look, the first gay Disney character. And I'm like, it's Joss Gad kind of just playing like LeFou.
Yeah.
Like as he was. And they don't really make him. They kind of make him gay.
No,
and, like,
but he's gay,
he's kind of like,
Ryan.
Oh, he's like, oh, honey. Like he's one of those gays.
Yeah.
And I'm like, this sucks. So that movie kind of sucked. But the music was good. I thought like the songs they added into the movie were very good. Like the Beast got like his own solo song. That was great. It sounded fucking awesome. There's another kind of song that they do where they kind of, I guess, go through like a montage of like what the history of the castle was like when the Beast was a kid.
Yeah.
Called Days in the Sun, and that song is really cute. And there's another song which comes up a couple of times in the movie called How Can a Moment Last Forever? And it's kind of a leitmotif they play out throughout the score of the movie that I really liked. And the first time they play it, it's Kevin Costner kind of singing it. He's Belle's father in the movie. Belle's father in this movie kicked ass. It was the best.
I don't remember
He was the
anything from this movie.
the best version of that character they could have possibly done because he was very lovable.
The more you talk about it, the
But-
more I'm like, I don't remember. I
The-
watched
it-
this like a couple of months
it was
ago
like-
too.
it was,
Because it was on Netflix. Because I didn't even know it came out.
There's stuff about it that's bad. There's stuff about it that's good. It's mostly not a very good movie.
I think it was
but there's-
just playing in the background, honestly.
Yeah, they don't. A lot of the movie kind of feels that way. I'm
Yeah.
gonna have to rewatch it at some point. But now they're doing a whole bunch more of these. So Cinderella was good, as I said. Cinderella is actually a very good movie. But there's like now they're doing Lion King.
Yeah.
They're doing Dumbo too, which I had a trailer a couple weeks ago, which looks really bad. But Lion King,
Yeah, I didn't hear about
Lion
that.
King so far just kind of looks like, and Jungle Book was.
I
good.
feel like this is a Disney power move to be like, oh yeah, Detective Pikachu, look at our CG.
It's Lion King.
It's there
And,
it is.
it's very impressive.
But
Like,
yeah, I was like, when this was first announced that they were making a quote unquote
Live
live
action,
action, yeah, air
yeah.
quotes, big air quotes.
live action Lion King. Yeah.
I was like, oh okay, yeah.
And the
This'll
cast
be
is
good.
amazing.
Yeah,
It's fucking
Beyonce.
Donald Glover, Beyonce, Seth Rogen, I think Billie Eilish, like
Who's
whole
Seth
bunch of
Rogen
people.
playing?
Pumbaa.
Pumbaa, yeah, of course.
Yeah.
As soon as I
Yeah.
asked the question, it was just like,
I don't know who's playing Scar, but I remember seeing the casting and I was like, oh, that's good. And James Earl Jones is just playing Mufasa again.
and like this is just pretty much a straight up shot for shot of the original like Lion King
Yeah, opening.
promotional trailer.
Yeah, and it looks great.
It does. But that's the thing. Like, as soon as I heard, like, when it was first announced, I was like, "Fuck this! I don't want this."
I heard that
never,
they're
ever
they're
be down
apparently
for this.
cutting out some of the songs, but I'm gonna be
Well-
honest with you, I don't like a lot of the songs from The Lion King.
I don't know, man.
The songs that
Lovely
they're
Bunch of
the song
Coconuts is
the
the
songs
best
they're
song.
keeping in are good. They're keeping in "Can You Feel the Love Tonight," "Circle of Life," "I Just Can't Wait to Be King," and "Be Prepared."
If I don't have my lovely bunch of coconuts, I'm fucking.
I'm
asking for
sure
a
they'll
refund.
fucking do that at some point.
But yeah, no, the trailer looks amazing, and as soon as it started playing, I was like, "Fuck it, no, I'm down. You know
Yeah,
what? I'm into
yeah.
it. I'm
And
going to see this movie."
There's something about "Circle of Life" as a song, which every time I think to myself, man, that aspect of The Lion King fucking sucked. I hear "Circle of Life" and I'm like, wow, actually every criticism I have is invalid.
I am wrong.
Because the soundtrack to this movie, the score, it's like it's the score in itself is a power move. It's Bernie Taupin,
Yeah,
Elton John,
I mean, it's
Tim Rice, and Hans Zimmer.
What
like
is it?
fuck.
What's it called when a bunch of artists from like different
Like
bands,
a power.
Pow-
There's a word for it. Supergroup.
yeah, supergroup. It's
Yeah,
supergroup.
it's like a supergroup of talented
But a
fucking
movie.
artists. Like, basically, it's got a libretto written by fucking Bernie Taupin and Elton John, which kicks ass. And the music is really like the Elton John songs in it are great.
yeah.
And Elton John is awesome. Anybody who dislikes Elton John is wrong. Like, they're just factually incorrect. His music is great. But
You are wrong.
it's just, I don't know, it's like a really fucking good, like, I think a good move of theirs. And whoever kind of hates on this, I think should wait until they watch it. Because I was ready to kind of hate, like, Jungle Book when I saw it. I was ready to hate Cinderella.
Yeah.
I was ready to hate, there's some other ones that, pumpkin,
Fucking
my
cat.
leg. Thank you.
Jesus.
Dug his fucking claws right into my leg again. But I was ready to hate all those other ones that I didn't think I'd like, and then I liked them. So it's like, fuck, whatever.
Yeah, I think it's gonna be good. I'm excited.
Yeah,
The
I think it's
nostalgia
gonna be
is
great.
so strong.
Yeah, the nostalgia for Lion King is strong, and then Disney dropped another fucking trailer.
Yeah, Artemis
for
Fowl.
Artemis Fowl. Now,
Which
I
I
don't
haven't
know if
watched yet. So I'm
are you
gonna do
familiar
that.
with Artemis Fowl?
I've heard the name in passing.
So this is a book series that I've been a fan of for a long time. The author, it's set in Ireland. It's written by an Irish author named Ian Colfer, who's a very well-respected Irish author. In fact, he was the Irish Children's Laureate for a great many years, which is basically a very prestigious title to hold as a children's author. But he has created this series called Artemis Fowl. He's a very respected author. He's written many books. This series takes place in Ireland, and the main character is a 10-year-old boy named Artemis Fowl, who is a criminal genius. He's a mastermind.
Okay.
He is
Fowl.
he's a very, very intelligent criminal mind, and his father, his mother lives with a condition in which she's kind of forgotten who she is half the time, and so she kind of slips in and out of these kind of awful episodes, and so she's unfit to kind of care for him. And his father went missing in the Arctic Ocean on a boat like a couple of years prior to the book beginning. So him and his butler, who's named Butler, and his butler's sister Juliet kind of live with him and take care of him. But he is a really smart, self-sufficient kid, and he uses his intelligence to kind of exploit people and steal money.
Dexter's Laboratory, but bad guy.
A little bit. But
Didi, you've killed me. Didi, I'll fucking kill you.
Omelette de fromage.
Omelette de fromage.
But the premise of the first Artemis Fowl novel and subsequently this film adaptation is that Artemis discovers a book called The Book, basically, and it's reportedly the book that everybody who's like a fairy, like a Fearie fairy,
Yeah.
like the Fae folk, all have a copy of this book that contains like their magical knowledge. And he basically finds a copy, and his plan is to steal gold from the fairies. And so he hatches like a plan to kidnap a fairy and leverage her as ransom and hold her hostage in return for like a large sum of fairy gold.
Yeah.
And that's what the premise of the first novel is. So it's him tracking down and kidnapping a fairy, and then the fairies retaliating and trying to get her back from him. So he's kind of like
Lighthearted, family fun.
he's an anti-hero.
Yeah.
And he can be cruel and really cold-hearted, but he also does everything he does to kind of fund
His evil plans.
well, to kind of fund research for his mother's
Yeah.
illness and stuff like that. So he needs the money for
He's
like
bad for the right reasons.
yeah, exactly. He's a shitty kid, but you root for him. He's also just clever and fun. And he's the type of character that you as a 10-year-old, when you read it, you're like, Artemis kicks ass.
I love
So-
Artemis.
Artemis is so cute. Hug you back.
But
Yeah.
he is cool, and he's a fun protagonist. So that first book is what's being adapted into a movie.
Yeah.
It's being directed by Kenneth Branagh,
Are there plans? Well,
Oh,
probably,
there
they're probably gonna
probably
wait for
are
box office.
plans to franchise it.
Yeah.
And it makes sense, too, because Artemis does grow up throughout the series. And by the end of I think it's the last book in the series is called, like, The Last Prophecy or something like that. It's the 8th book in the series. He's like an adult. He's an adult.
He wipes out super hard.
But he starts off as 10 in the first book, and the actor they've gotten to play him is young. So I'm
Yeah.
hoping that I'm thinking Disney's trying to get like a Harry Potter out of it.
Yeah,
and they
fair
even
enough.
got a bunch of notable British and Irish actors in it because it takes place in Ireland. He's an Irish character.
Mm-hmm.
The boy who's playing him is Irish, and they've got notable British actors playing Butler and his sister, and it seems really fun so far. I'm hoping it'll be good. It's being directed by Kenneth Branagh, who's a hit-or-miss director. Whenever he does something really interesting, it's always interesting, regardless if it's good or bad.
Yeah.
So hopefully it'll be good. I think Ian Colfer's work will adapt excellently to film if done right. So there's just a hope that it will. But that looks really, really interesting. So Disney's like, hey, these are all the trailers for movies that you don't want to see.
Yeah.
What you really want to see is Avengers 4, which I'm not
But it's
sure.
coming. Don't worry about it.
Yeah.
It's still-
Oh, it's coming. It's coming, I promise.
Speaking of trailers for things you don't want to see,
Uh,
here's a bunch of shit that no one cares about. Netflix. No. Netflix unveils teaser trailers and release dates for Ultraman, Neon Genesis Evangelion. I don't know why I said it like that. And more.
I don't know if anybody's heard about this, but Netflix is making a huge push to get Japanese properties on
Trying to get
their things.
all the
And
fucking animes.
they are doing a good fucking job of
Yeah.
it so far because they've got Evangelion on their platform.
And I'm
That is a win.
I am so excited for the surge of people who have never seen it
Watching
or
it.
just know
Yeah.
nothing about it and just watching it because now it's super accessible and you don't have to go onto those weird sketchy sites where
Yeah.
it murders your computer.
And I love Evangelion. I have a love-hate relationship with Evangelion.
I love it.
I on one hand adore the series to death, and I think like it's one of the most culturally significant pieces of art of the last like 5 decades of the last century. Let's be honest, it's fucking amazing, and it plays tribute to everything that I love because Hideaki Anno, the creator, is basically like the biggest tokusatsu, Ultraman, Super Sentai Kamen Rider nerd ever.
Yeah.
And he's
in there.
yeah, and he was a prodigy animator who was like tutored and mentored by Miyazaki himself, and he worked with Miyazaki before Ghibli was even a fucking thing.
Yeah.
Which is like there is a sequence in Nausicaa and the Valley and the Valley and the Wind that he animated, and he later went on to co-direct a project with Miyazaki, Nausicaa and the Secret of Blue, or no, Nadia and the Secret of Blue Water.
Yeah.
Which is an anime that I really like. But Anno is a very fantastic director. Evangelion kicks ass. End of Evangelion is, in my opinion, one of the greatest movies ever made. All the Evangelion movies that have come out recently are kind of okay, but
They're not
End of
great.
Evangelion
Yeah.
is honestly one of the best movies
It's up
ever
there.
fucking
And now
made.
it's super accessible.
Yeah.
And we'll be able to talk about it.
I'm
with
so
people.
excited. I
'Cause
love fucking
this is-
Evangelion.
it's
This
not
is-
really a
This is
thing.
as good an excuse as any to rewatch it.
Yeah.
And I'm very excited.
So that's rad. I'm super stoked for the fucking Ultraman.
Yes, so there is a new
Are they basing it off the newest manga?
Yes. So
Okay,
the
good.
Ultraman manga that has been airing in publication recently, I
Yeah.
think it started in 2014.
Yeah.
It's a reinterpretation of the character that kind of brings him closer to like Kamen Rider
Yeah,
Then
it's
it does
more of
anything?
a handing down of
of the torch.
Of
yeah,
the torch,
because the main
then-
character is the son of the original Ultraman.
Yeah.
But he doesn't have Ultraman powers like his dad.
he
so
only has half.
Yeah, he's like half alien.
Because isn't his
Yeah.
dad?
His dad was like a full alien who disguised himself as a human.
Was it? I'm
I-
pretty sure his dad is half. He got hit by like a meteor
Oh,
or some shit.
his dad was hit by the alien hit the human
Yes.
and they combined.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
he's
his
like an
DNA got
alien human
fused.
hybrid.
Yeah.
But the son is like half alien, so he has like half the Ultraman powers, and the other half is supplemented by like the armor he wears.
Yeah.
Which is really fucking cool. So this series is gonna be full CG from what I understand.
Oh.
But the studio that's doing it is a studio who has reputable CG cred. And there's been good CG anime.
Yeah, that's true.
'cause
Attack
was-
on Titan's strong.
Titan's got good CG, but also there was a really good full CG series a couple years ago that was amazing and some of the best CG I've ever seen on TV. But there's also shit like Berserk, which sucks and looks really
Oh,
bad.
God.
But Berserk's
Oh,
problems
I
aren't
don't
so
wanna
much that
talk
it's
about it.
directed with CG. It's that it's badly directed.
Yeah.
So it's like I don't think I should be trepidatious. I
Did you
think
see
this
the
can be
gif
good.
of Zod just crushing a guy's head and it looks like a bunch of MS Paint?
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah,
man,
it's fucking bad.
It's hilarious.
Zodu.
Zod.
But yeah, so that is interesting. There's also a Rilakuma show coming out. I don't know if you know who Rilakuma is. I think you probably do.
I've seen.
He's a little
the bear.
he's a little teddy
Yeah,
bear,
he's a Winnie the Pooh from Japan.
and he's very cute.
Yeah,
And they're
I've definitely seen it.
They're
but
doing
I
a series
know
with
nothing.
him where he is kind of like helping a regular woman kind of get over her depression.
Mhm.
They're also doing a new Saint Seiya anime. Do you know what Saint Seiya is?
No.
So Saint Seiya is a very, 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 very famous Shonen Jump series. It was translated as Knights of the Zodiac, so you might know what that is.
Oh, okay.
But
yes.
Saint Seiya is a series about warriors who are granted Greek mythology powers, basically, and they're kind of
Sick.
duking it out in like a battle game. It's really fucking good.
Does anyone get Zeus's power of fucking things he shouldn't fuck?
Well, the main character is granted power by Athena, and
Okay.
their armor is themed like a Pegasus. So it's a really, really noteworthy series, but it's not super huge in the West.
Oh.
So I'm really excited for this. It looks really, really good. The first still they released of it looks amazing.
Yeah.
And then there's the big fucking honking big dick Netflix news, which just came out
the biggest
yesterday.
one at 1:33 a.m.
As I posted, yes.
Fucking maniac.
So Netflix is, drum roll please,
Live action cowboy beep bop.
Yeah, Cowboy Bleep Bloop is getting
The
a live action
Spaceman.
adaptation, and people have feelings on this. I have said for years that Bebop as a series is rife for live action adaptation
Yeah.
because it's paced like a Western television series. It features characters that are white in leading roles, which I think is an easy sell for a lot of American audiences. Because, I mean, let's be real. Spike Spiegel's not Japanese. His name is Spike Spiegel.
No, that's
He's
pretty
Jewish.
Japanese.
He's Jewish.
No, that's Japanese, man.
And I've always said, do you know who Ben Schwartz is? The actor Ben Schwartz? If you look up a picture of Ben
Yeah.
Schwartz, you will see why I think he should play Spike Spiegel.
But I mean, there's in this article alone. Oh yeah.
Well, just look at a good picture of
yeah,
him.
it's not a great picture, but I can kind of see what you're talking about.
There.
Yeah.
He's a tall Jewish
That's like
guy.
Spiegel.
A tall Jewish guy.
Oh my God.
Yes, and he is
He
is playing
cosplays
Sonic.
Sonic.
He is playing Sonic in the Sonic movie.
Oh.
But he's mostly known for his voice roles and his
Oh, no.
stand up, but he's a comedian and he's very funny. So he I think would actually play a great Spike Spiegel. But I also say that because I think Spike is Jewish and he should be played by a Jewish actor. Jet is also, I think, coded, not white.
Yeah.
And then Faye Valentine is Japanese apparently. So
Well, she's from Singapore.
is she from Singapore?
Yeah.
Oh, so I mean that would make
Yeah.
sense. They're Japanese
It's
people.
just a
in
bag of
Singapore.
questions. Yeah.
But she's
yeah.
she's Asian. But
Yeah.
the other characters are not. And I think it has a multicultural cast already. And of course Ed is not white.
Mhm.
Like 100% not. And I will be really mad if they get a white actor to play Ed. Cuz she's not white. I think she's supposed to be South Asian. Like she's not from South Asia, but the way that she looks,
Yeah.
she looks like she could be like, I want to say like Indonesian or Melanesian even, like probably like Polynesian, something like that. She doesn't look white. She's
Yeah,
not
yeah.
white. And I hate to see her played by a white actor. But
I mean, we know nothing right now.
we know
Honestly,
three
we have
things about
crumbs.
live action Cowboy Bebop. It's being made by Netflix.
We got Wanatabe on consulting, which
Which is good.
is
'cause-
a glimmer of hope. I mean, in the final product, people on consulting have no say,
But I think that
but at the same
they
time,
want this to succeed
Yeah.
with the fans, and I think that means having Watanabe there to inform the direction the series takes is important.
yeah. I also think that the fact that it is a show and not a movie
Is a great idea.
is the best thing you could do, because that's a lot of the problem with adaptations,
Yeah.
anime adaptations to live action is that it comes out as a movie and you're pressed for time. There's so much relevant shit that can happen.
And the
in one
pacing is
episode.
always awful. Like if you saw like the live action American Death Note movie,
It was garbage.
there's stuff in it that could have honestly worked in a TV show.
Yes.
But the pacing was so bad. Everything
so pressed
fucking
for time,
happened
exactly.
immediately. There was no. The escalation from Light being like kind of a loser kid to Light being like a psycho murderer, I want to kill everybody, was like 0
and
to
they
10.
don't touch on the fact of how smart he is. The only
He's
thing,
a really stupid version of Light.
the only thing they do to imply that he's smart at all is like people being like, "Oh, take my homework and do it for me. Here's $20." And it's like, okay,
That could have worked. Fuck. That
They-
could have worked.
if
And they
it could,
fucked
it would
up.
if it was a TV show and they had more time and the
It's a pity
direction was a little
there
bit
were
better.
there was I thought the cast was actually really good. I thought Lakeith Stanfield was very good as Elle. Elle was the best part of that movie, hands
Yeah.
down. And Ryuk was great too because it was Willem Dafoe.
Yeah, Willem
He
Dafoe is a
sounded
great
like
Ryuk.
fucking Ryuk. It was perfect.
It was great.
And it was also like the most evilest version of Ryuk ever.
Yeah.
Holy shit.
But then the characters start doing stupid shit because they're pressed for time.
And they
plot
were
needs to happen.
basically plot needed to happen, which necessitated the
Dude, man, the
characters being
girlfriend
dumb.
character is the dumbest bullshit heel turn.
She sucked. She was a really
God,
bad
I
character.
hated how dumb everything. Anyway,
It's a pity because that
We're
director,
talking about
he's a
Cowboy
very
Bebop.
talented director,
Yeah.
Adam Wingard, and he's made some great movies in the past. So
but that's why
that's what time and adapting a property that needs time to pan out its story does.
that's why this has a glimmer of hope with it being a show.
And it's also being written. I think at least the first episode of the show is being written by Christopher Yost, who is a very notable Hollywood screenwriter.
Yeah, he did
who
Thor,
wrote Thor Ragnarok,
Ragnarok.
which is tonally very bebop-y.
Yeah,
I mean,
space shenanigans.
and also just Bebop as a series. I mean, you could even do a Bebop movie and it would work fine. Because when you look at like what the Bebop movie was, like the actual Cowboy
Yeah.
Bebop movie, it was just what if an episode of Cowboy Bebop was like half an hour to an hour longer.
Yeah.
You know? So, all in all, it works out pretty fine in the end.
Yeah.
But
again,
I think it could totally work if they do it right.
Yeah.
But they got to do it right.
That's the thing. Yeah. Again, we have nothing to base any
exactly.
opinion off.
Do you
really,
have any-
besides the fact that it's happening?
Do you have any like people that you'd want to see involved in it? I want Ben Schwartz for Spike. That's what I want.
I don't know.
I want an African American actor for Jet, or like somebody who fits that profile. But I don't know who I'd want for Ed.
In the late 2000s, Keanu Reeves was attached to a live-action movie adaptation of protagonist Spike Spiegel. I feel like Keanu Reeves would be a fucking hilarious Spike.
He wouldn't be as emotive as
No,
Spike
exactly.
is. But Reeves
But
is a great
that's something
actor.
that could like ruin it.
Yeah,
It would be funny, but it'd be like,
you know who Reeves would? Reeves would play a really good Vicious.
Yeah,
If they had Reeves as Vicious.
I could see that.
There's a couple of issues I see with this going. Like, if Netflix kind of adheres to the formula that it sticks to for a lot of its original shows, where, like, they'll do a whole episode about the villain's backstory. I don't think Vicious is a character that needs more backstory than he already has, and vice versa.
Yeah.
But, like, this definitely has the opportunity to be, like, way fucking better than Ghost in the Shell. Way better than Death Note. Like, this series... Anybody
It
who
has
knows
potential to do the thing.
Anybody who knows how fucking writing works knows that this will work out pretty fine if done right. Anything can be adapted well if it's written correctly.
Yeah. I don't know. I keep like 1 10-minute period. I'll be like, it'll probably be fine, and then the next 10 minutes, I'm like, I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm afraid.
I'm just hoping they keep the soundtrack as
I was just
I
about
would
to
like
say,
them to have Yoko Kanno
come
re-record
back and
her
do
original
more
soundtrack.
shit.
Yeah, that would be great. And Yoko Kanno is one of the greatest living composers in anything, yet alone anime.
Yeah.
And she's a great musical director, and she's a great kind of somebody who's good at expanding kind of your sonic everything. So this looks fucking good, you know?
You know what else looks fucking good?
Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse.
Yeah.
And
it fucking looks dope.
It's many positive receptions it's been receiving so
and
far.
It's spin-offs.
Yeah, it's getting a couple spin-offs, and the writer for Wonder Woman 2 is being tapped to write a Spider-Woman movie.
Mike.
I don't know if you know anything about Spider-Woman.
No.
So Jessica Drew, Spider-Woman,
Yes.
is kind of like a spy. She's a spy character, and she starts off as a villain, and she kind of does a turn, and she becomes kind of a face, which is cool. But she starts off as an adversary of Spider-Man's because
big heel.
she's a Hydra agent initially.
Oh, yeah.
And then
okay.
she's kind of hired away from Hydra by Sword, and she becomes the Sword agent.
Here's the money.
But she's a really cool character. I think Jessica Drew is a badass, and there's a lot of great female Spider characters. I mean, of course, Spider-Gwen, evidently, but also Silk, who's really cool, Black Cat, Silver Sable. These are all great female Spider-Man characters, and they would work super duper well in a movie together. So I'm hoping that, this comes to fruition. And also, they're doing, they've already greenlit a direct sequel to Into the Spider-Verse.
Yeah.
Which,
because it's doing
fuck yes.
overwhelmingly positive.
Yeah, which I think we all knew it would.
Yeah.
The second everybody saw the trailer for it, I think people were like,
I'm in.
yeah. Even if the movie narratively is nothing special, just as a visual fucking achievement, it is almost unrivaled.
Yeah.
And it's pretty incredible to say that Sony as an animation studio, in a year where Disney has put out a great movie, in a year that Pixar has put out a great movie, that they're going to come to swing with this.
Yeah.
But I'm really excited for it. I'm hoping that it pans out. I really want to see a female-led Spider-Man movie. And I've always said, like, the female Spider characters, they're all fucking good characters. They kick ass, and there's plenty of writing potential for them. And there's so many good villains you can play off of. And,
Yeah.
fuck, it's just so exciting. Like, and it opens up
The
a whole...
possibilities.
It just opens up room for other interpretations of good characters.
Yeah. I'm fucking hype.
I hate the
for
idea that, like,
all this
only
Spider-Man shit.
one company can make movies of superheroes.
Yeah.
You know? Like, or that, like, only one version of them can exist in film at a time.
Yeah.
Like, the fact that we're
Well,
only
that's why
just
animated film is
Yeah.
really fucking rad. Because, I mean, it costs less to do more.
Yes, absolutely.
Like, you could... I feel like Infinity War, an animated film, would be probably marginally better than the already pretty good Infinity War
live
arc,
action movie.
live
yeah.
action. It's just
I mean,
it
let's be
probably
honest,
wouldn't do as good at the box
superheroes
office.
as animated characters are a fit because they come from a visual medium
Yeah.
of comic books. And
where you can get away with ridiculous things
Yeah.
and don't need shitty CG.
And you don't need to kind of like find ways to justify comic book bullshit for audiences.
Yeah.
That's my big problem with like I have a bone to pick with like the Christopher Nolan Batman movies, which I mean, I can't hate on The Dark Knight. It's a good movie. It's a really good movie. But it's also like the least Batman-y Batman movie ever.
Yeah.
Like that movie is so not a fucking about Batman. It's about like Gotham City. And in that sense, it's a lot closer to like, I don't know how to say, like, how do I describe it? A fucking, almost like a Michael Mann crime movie.
A trash fire.
But anyway, I like that when a movie can just kind of go all in and be like, hey, this is just kind of goofy and fucking fun and just accept it. And I'm like, I like that.
Yeah.
It's a lot better than going like, we can't have that in there. Audiences will think it is stupid because it's in live action.
No.
So,
Moving on to the, I guess, biggest
and saddest news.
biggest and saddest news of our week.
Stephen Hillemburg, who, as many people might know, is the creator and was just big man behind, head writer, creative force, designer behind SpongeBob SquarePants.
And Rocco's Modern Life?
Yeah, he worked as an
What?
animator on Rock.
Oh, animator. Okay.
Yeah. That's where he met Tom Kenny, who went to voice SpongeBob. But, yeah, Stephen Hillenburg, creator of SpongeBob SquarePants, which is I don't think anybody needs any introduction to it, but let's be real. Probably one of the most culturally significant animated programs of all time.
We all grew up with that yellow
Yeah.
sponge.
Everybody under 30 owes some part of their sense of humor to SpongeBob SquarePants. And Stephen Hillenburg is the primary reason why, because Hillenburg was a really interesting creative mind. He came from a background of marine biology, which, as you can see, informed his interest in doing a show about characters living under the ocean. But he basically fucked off being a marine biologist to go to CalArts and study animation.
He did the opposite of Cujo.
Yeah, pretty much. And he fucked off from marine biology and went to CalArts and studied animation. And he became friends with a lot of people who were working there at the time, including Joe Murray, who went on to create Rocko's Modern Life. Rocko was his kind of first big break. He was one of the head animators and writers on the show. And
one of my favorite shows.
oh yeah, evidently,
I'm wearing
yeah.
Rocco socks.
My two favorite Nicktoons of all time are Rocko's Modern Life and Hey Arnold. And Rocko's Modern Life is really great. Hillenburg wrote a lot of great Rocko episodes. And unfortunately, just yesterday at the age of 57, he passed away from ALS, which is a very horrible way to die. But he leaves behind him just
a fucking legacy.
the legacy. I mean, I can't think of an animated series apart from like The Simpsons and Adventure Time that has had as much influence as SpongeBob SquarePants. And SpongeBob is a show that, say what you want about it, has remained consistently on the air for like the last 2 decades almost.
Yeah, it's pulling The Simpsons pretty hard.
Yeah, it is. And you know what? I know a lot of people kind of shit on like the newer seasons of the show. You know what? It's really not that bad.
It's not that different. It's
not
just
that
you're
di-
older.
Yeah, you're older and the humor is not for you, but it's suffice it to say, SpongeBob SquarePants is a really funny show. It's one of the shows that I think normalized absurdist humor for children in a way that shows like maybe Ren and Stimpy and even Rocko maybe couldn't manage. Because both of those shows, I think, kind of found their primary audience in like early teenage kids, you know?
Yeah.
SpongeBob is a lot more accessible to a younger audience, and it has kind of the elements of like how'd that get past the censors that both of those other shows have.
Yeah.
But I mean, firstly,
who greenlit that?
unlike Ren and Stimpy, SpongeBob's actually funny. And unlike Rocko, it's, I think, a little more relatable to younger kids because Rocko, I think,
Rocko was 90s.
if you're like a 20-something, Rocko even now is probably kind of relatable to you.
Yeah.
But I don't think I related to Rocko that much when I was a younger kid. I thought the show was very funny, and it is. But I never found Rocko to be a relatable character.
It was more adult cartoon.
It is.
SpongeBob was straight up.
SpongeBob is a family show that appeals to everybody, but I think especially to younger kids because SpongeBob as a character is relentlessly optimistic. And I think that he's a great role model for younger children because he's always trying to do the right thing. His heart's always in the right place. He's dedicated to and loves his job.
He's dumb as fuck.
He's really stupid, but he's very sweet.
Yeah.
He's a caring person. And I think that, I don't know, SpongeBob as a show was something that I think was really formative for a lot of people. And Steven is the exact reason why. I mean, what are some of your favorite episodes of SpongeBob, Ben?
Favorite episodes. It's been so long. I like Grandma's Cookies.
Oh, that's a really good episode.
Yeah, Grandma's Cookies is fucking great.
I like Shanghai. Do you know that episode?
What happened?
Shanghai.
I can't remember most of the
Shanghai is
names.
an episode where SpongeBob, Patrick, and Squidward are kidnapped by the Flying Dutchman, and they basically live on a ship.
Oh yeah.
And they drive the
They're
Flying
his
Dutchman
crew
fucking
and
crazy.
Yeah.
And my favorite SpongeBob gag of all time is him throwing fucking Squidward into that like endless pain misery abyss.
Yeah.
And him just kind of falling. And
I
then
like,
immediately hitting the ground and going, well, at least that's over, and reappearing on the ship.
Yeah.
And that is really funny. That SpongeBob is just a really funny show. But yeah, Shanghai's a good episode.
Shanghai's a good episode. I really like fuck. The episode when Squidward feeds him a bomb pie and he's gonna die.
That episode's really emotional. I think
so funny.
the things that Squidward feels towards SpongeBob there, like that conflicted kind of guilt and shame, and kind of
it shows that he's kind of remorseful.
Yeah, that he's.
It's not a full hate. It's just
I've never bought the idea that Squidward is a shitty person.
Yeah.
You know, and that episode is a great testament to why he's not, because I think he really does care about SpongeBob, but he also is kind of, you know, he's a very different person from SpongeBob, and he doesn't always appreciate, I think, what SpongeBob adds to his life.
Yeah.
And you see in the episodes where SpongeBob is kind of makes himself absent from Squidward's life, that he's a very layered character.
Yeah.
And I'd say the same thing for
besides shitting on SpongeBob, he doesn't really know what to do.
Exactly. And SpongeBob is a part of his life that I don't think he'll, however, acknowledge is really significant, but it is. Mr. Krabs is a really funny character. There is not one but two episodes in which Mr. Krabs is either turned into a robot or assumed to be a robot. Those are both really funny. The episode where...
Oh, the paint episode where they fucking explode the paint bubble in Mr. Krabs' house is fucking
God,
great.
That one's good. The episode where they get into swearing.
Yeah.
And Mr. Krabs is like...
Don't fucking do that.
Don't be swearing with them sailor words. Like fucking... Yeah, and there's like dolphin noises and shit kind of replacing the swears.
Yeah.
And then, oh, that's really funny. There's, the first ever episode with Mrs. Puff, where SpongeBob tries to pass his boating school test and he just fucks all that shit up because he's so nervous. That one's really, because he's cheating. I cheated, and he fucking destroys the whole school. Oh my God. There's so much shit in that show.
Good shows.
It's really good. It's no matter what people have to say about like the new SpongeBob seasons, right? How much good SpongeBob is there to weigh out the new stuff? A lot. SpongeBob is a long show with a lot of
SpongeBob
very
movie
funny
was
episodes.
good.
Oh yeah, the original SpongeBob movie is fucking funny. I just watched it very recently, actually. I watched it the last time I went to Toronto.
It holds up, surprisingly.
It really does. It's so funny. There's a lot of good humor to it.
I fucking remember when it first came out, we had a sleepover, me and a couple of friends, and just replaying the bit where Patrick's running with his pants down and just fucking face plants.
Yeah.
We would just rewind it, play it, and we were losing our shit, like tears and pain.
The comedic
laughs.
timing in a lot of the scenes in that film is really fucking impeccable.
Yeah.
That show is so
man,
good.
one of my favorite fucking things that show ever did is I can't remember what episode, and I don't remember verbatim, but something's happening, and like Squidward's like, well, at least there's only like 10 minutes left of this, and there's actually only 10 minutes left in the show.
Yeah.
Before the episode ends, and I was like, oh, it's so meta.
There's a lot of great
It's
meta
so
humor.
self-aware.
Oh, the episode with the hash slinging slasher.
Yeah.
That
That's a
shit
good
is
one.
really-
That's a
good
classic.
one too.
That one fucking reran so often. I
Ah,
think
it really
I
did.
fucking remember the script.
It's the first time I ever saw Count Orlok from Nosferatu.
Yeah.
Also, the best ending gag ever. Nosferatu. And it's just like his little face, like, oh, sorry. Like,
Oh, man.
that show is brilliant. And Stephen Hillemburg was the reason why it was. Let's be real. I mean, it takes a village to create a show, you know? And a lot of people are involved.
But it takes someone to scream at everyone.
It takes a certain kind of creative mind to envision a show which effectively normalized an entire genre of humor for an entire generation of people, right?
Yeah.
Even all the people who are like fucking garbage and always say shit like, meh, growing up is realizing Squidward was right and shit like that.
Yeah.
Even for all those fucking people who are annoying, like, it still meant something to somebody. And Squidward's good. I like Squidward. SpongeBob's good.
I relate
Patrick's
with his
good.
nihilism, and
Yeah, there's a small part of me that feels
I
like
mean,
Squidward
clearly
at times.
he's an exaggerated caricature of those personality traits,
And
but that's what he's there
Band
for.
Geeks. Holy fuck, what a good episode Band Geeks is.
Oh yeah.
That's a legendary episode. I mean, oh well, there's a quote the quote in the episode that I always fucking use is mayonnaise an instrument.
It's horseradish.
I always say that shit.
Horseradish is not an instrument either.
Is mayonnaise an
I
instrument?
fucking love
No,
that.
Patrick, mayonnaise is not
That
an
and when he
instrument.
fucking gets his ass beat and comes and sits down with the fucking trombone like
Yeah.
up his neck and just goes.
That
I
one's good.
lost my shit at that.
That's or when they're marching in the fucking like street and the two baton twirlers
This is now a SpongeBob
fucking
cast.
twirl away. Yeah, SpongeBob lorecast. Twirl away into the fucking plane and die, and then the guy just plays taps on the fucking trumpet.
Yeah,
That shit gets me every time. That fucking episode is so funny. And then the ending where they just play a good song.
yeah.
Oh my fucking god. That was really, really
Squilliam
good.
is my fucking.
Squilliam.
Squilliam.
It's just fucking Squidward in a fucking
I can't.
house coat and eyebrows. Like,
With a
fuck.
monocle? Did he? Have
No,
a
he
monocle?
didn't have a monocle. He had eyebrows, though.
I think there's an episode where he gets a monocle or something.
Squilliam. Or there's that great episode. I think another good episode that really humanizes Squidward. It's the episode where he moves to the community where everybody's a Squidward.
Oh yeah, and it's just so
And it
day to
fucking
day, and he's like,
sucks.
I miss how much I hate SpongeBob.
Yeah, that was a really good
I
episode.
no, I'm Squidward.
Yeah.
I like that episode
excuse
too.
me. I'm Squidward.
I'm Squidward.
God. I'm Squidward.
Future.
Oh, the future. Oh, fuck. Or the, fucking, I mean, the episode that has the fucking SpongeGar meme in it, right?
Yeah.
Like, fucking really funny. And, man, there's just a whole bunch of wild shit in the show that I'm remembering now. I mean, all the live action scenes with Patchy the Pirate, where Tom Kenny
Yeah.
plays Patchy the Pirate in live
Yeah.
action. The episode where they do the
David Hasselhoff is a boat.
in the fucking movie, yeah. Oh my god, and his chest like fucking like makes noises and it's weird. God, what a fucking good show.
Anyway,
Anyway, Stephen Hillemburg, you kicked fucking ass. You did
we're gonna
like
miss you.
you were amazing. You're one of the best fucking people out there, and it sucks to lose two really influential creative minds in like
Yeah.
the span of a month. But, you know, with Stan Lee going, Stephen Hillenburg going, it's really sad, man. Both of them were so talented, and they contributed a lot to our culture, especially our contemporary culture. I think both of them were, you know, a great force in terms of taste making and what we now consider to be popular and fun. But really good, you know?
Influential.
Very influential. So I think that about wraps it up.
Let's see if.
I think
I'm scanning Twitter right now to see if there's any last second.
anything.
What's this? Next trailer for Kingdom Hearts is out in December.
Okay.
New footage is 10th, and
100%
the
new.
18th will be the final trailer.
10% new footage?
Huh? December 10th.
Oh,
New
okay.
footage. December 18th.
I guess we're
the
going to be
final
learning about a new world.
2018 trailer at JTS.
God,
We're still editing.
Nomura. Thanks, Nomura.
Thanks, Nomura. Keeping me posted.
Man, people in the industry have a lot of shit to say about Nomura. Apparently, he fucking sucks to work under.
Oh, probably.
Like he's.
Did you see Nomura's fucking Batman redesign?
Oh my god, it's so good, but
It's
it's so busy.
I love it.
My favorite Japanese artist doing a Batman design is Yoshitaka Amano, the painter who did like all the.
Oh yeah.
Just did a fantastic Boogie.
Yeah.
Boogie, more like he sucks. Hot take. Boogie.
Boogie sucks.
Boogie fucking sucks and is a terrible person. But I agree.
Oh yeah, you liked it.
Yeah, but
Okay.
just really fantastic. I think shit to look forward to with that new Kingdom Hearts.
Yeah,
Because I mean, I want to be in a Toy Story.
I wanna be. Imagine the new fucking Lion King. It's gonna be so photorealistic in the video game. Get out of here, old Simba.
Fucking Simba. Nobody likes you.
It'll be like the
Your
Pirates of the
ass.
Caribbean world.
Oh,
Yeah.
that I'm not looking forward to.
Jack Sparrow, get out of my house.
Remember in the early 2000s when like the Pirates of the Caribbean world was cool and not like a
No, I don't, because I remember how fucking tonally dissonant it was, and how fucking, even as a child, I was like, this is fucking dumb.
I always
I'm
liked that
fighting
shit because I was like, wow, Pirates
pirates.
of the Caribbean's so fun.
I'm
and then you
fighting zombie pirates
then-
with a keyblade.
and then you like you fucking now you're like, oh yeah, Johnny Depp sucks and is a terrible person now. It really blows.
Everyone. No
Man,
heroes.
Johnny Depp fucking sucks. Fuck Johnny Depp. He's a piece of shit. But god damn.
I'm making mac and cheese.
Making
and
fucking mac and cheese and nobody can stop me. So it's been a week, I think. There was a lot of fucking news.
Yeah.
I guess thanks for joining us on this journey.
we got like 3 new subs today.
Oh, that's fucking good.
That's
I'm happy
pretty
to hear
nice.
that shit.
Thank you.
Yeah, it was a good
Pressing
time.
the button.
And that was it was good
that's pretty
shit.
much it. We'll be back next Wednesday.
As always.
I will stream probably the end, because I think I'm at the end game of Outlast 2.
All right, so you're almost done
I'm
that.
gonna stream that at some point this week, probably next week more. I don't know. Check my Twitter. That's Scratch Me Silly, all
and
one word.
my Twitter, Nouveau Art Punk, one word.
And if you missed any of my streams and want to catch them or just want to do a thing, Scratch Me Silly Plays on YouTube, all one word,
And on
except for the
Twitch.
plays. No, Twitch, it's just
Just
Scratch Me Silly.
just scratch me
Yo,
silly.
yo, yo, yo.
And yeah, I guess catch us on YouTube if you didn't
Missed
get the
us.
episode live.
We're going to try and figure out how to double around and try to get on SoundCloud or something.
Yeah, but in the meantime, you want to listen to back episodes, you got YouTube. We have a mega folder, which I upload an MP3 to every time. And these MP3s are really good, and I put effort into the editing, and they're funny.
Yeah.
And I put musics, and I put, in one episode, I put like an entire ending where it was just Stan Lee dunking on Todd McFarlane and Rob Liefeld. So you can,
Dunk
you can have
that
fun in the
shit.
editing process. And, I always put like a cheeky music reference or something in there.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
And if you join us on Twitch live, you can post questions in the chat. We will check that near the end of the episode.
Yep.
There's not really any right now. Ash says hi.
Oh, thanks, Ash.
That's pretty much it.
Yeah, all right.
See you next week.
Yeah.